Following the premiere of Alex Garland's Warfare, the director is just one film away from completing an A24 war trilogy, and I really hope he follows through. Warfare is a 2025 movie released in April, which tells the true story of American Navy SEALs who have a concerning encounter in Iraq during the 2006 Battle of Ramadi. The movie stars various up-and-coming stars, including Will Poulter, Joseph Quinn, Charles Melton, Kit Connor, and Cosmo Jarvis. Since its release, Warfare has garnered positive reviews from critics and audiences alike. Warfare is far from the first movie Garland has made, and it isn't his first with A24 either. In 2002, Garland's career began when he wrote the iconic horror film, 28 Days Later, which quickly became a cult classic. Later, in 2014, he tried his hand at directing with the sci-fi thriller, Ex Machina. Of the 5 movies Garland has directed, 3 of them have been distributed by A24. In this way, Warfare probably won't be the last. Another Garland A24 film with similar themes could lead to an exciting trend that hasn't really been done before at the company. Alex Garland has made 2 great war movies for A24 recently. Why Garland's war movies have landed at A24? After Warfare, it is hard to ignore a new trend between Garland and A24, war movies. Warfare is a war film based on a true story, and condemns the violence of war, particularly in Iraq. As it turns out, a year before that, Garland wrote and directed another war film called Civil War, which followed a group of journalists in a dystopic America who are racing to Washington, D.C. before rebels take control. In just 2 years, Garland has put out 2 war films with A24, which may tell different stories, but share very similar themes. Garland's newfound affection for war movies is interesting, but it is equally unique that both Warfare and Civil War landed at A24. Other Garland films have been backed by different production companies, so what is it about A24 that bodes so well for Garland and his war films? Most likely, it is the movie's themes. These war films are not just depictions of combat, but are social and political commentaries. Through an artistic lens, Garland questions the American government and its violent actions. This fits in well with A24's catalogue of thought-provoking arthouse films. Warfare and Civil War are spiritually connected, even if they are very different war movies. Warfare and Civil War take on different goals. Civil War Stephen McKinley Henderson, Kirsten Dunst, Wagner Moura and Kelly Speeney in the press car. Although Civil War and Warfare share genres, many may argue that the movies are quite different. It is true that one is a true story set in actual warfare, while the other has more dystopian leanings in a crumbling country. However, at the end of the day, Civil War and Warfare are deeply connected by what they stand for. Both films offer up a version of reality wherein characters are forced to confront their beliefs. Their lives are put on the line by their country, and these individuals must figure out what they stand for. That being said, Civil War and Warfare do have different stories to tell. This doesn't necessarily push them away from each other, but instead, helps them complement one another. For example, Civil War sets a strong political tone, expounding on issues that are already arising in our country. Meanwhile, Warfare brings audiences onto the actual front lines with real soldiers. In this way, Garland uses the movies to change points of view while still looking at the same topic, war. Arguably, this makes Garland's war movies better because they build upon each other. Now that Garland has released 2 war movies, it would be cool if he could put out one more to create a war trilogy. Not only would this create a more full-circle situation for Garland, as 3 movies are better than 2, but it would also give him a chance to expand even further on what he presented in Civil War and Warfare. Garland could showcase yet another unique setting with different characters who view war in a particular way. He could take the viewpoint of a country's leader, a regular citizen, or a criminal. Making a 3rd war movie would also be a beneficial move for Garland because Civil War and Warfare did so well. Both movies earned fantastic Rotten Tomatoes scores, and while Warfare didn't soar at the box office, Civil War did. On a budget of $50 million, the film made $127 million. In this way, a 3rd war movie could follow a similar track as Civil War, putting out flashy marketing and an edgy story to suck viewers in. Then, through the story, Garland can make one last stand on the idea of war, politics, and morality. Will Alex Garland finish his secret A24 war movie trilogy? Garland's best movies like Warfare and Civil War. Warfare characters are aiming and scouting for any enemies. Image via A24. Garland has made no public plans to continue his A24 war trilogy, but that doesn't mean it won't happen at some point in the future. Considering how successful the first 2 movies were, it would make sense for A24 to push for another one. Clearly, Garland has strong feelings on the subject, so it may not take a lot for him to get on board either. The only obstacle that may get in the way of Garland's war trilogy is 28 years later and its subsequent films, which Garland is writing. This could take up Garland's time. Fortunately, Garland does have other movies that are just as thoughtful and important as Civil War and Warfare. In fact, 28 Days Later could be a perfect movie to watch after Garland's war films, as it takes on dystopia, apocalypse, and survival for regular people. Annihilation could also be a strong contender, as it sees a group of experts exploring a dangerous world that has an important impact on the world. All in all, Alex Garland is cooking up something interesting with Warfare, and hopefully, viewers will get to see more of it.